Alright, Mad Dog. This is looking sick already. TD05, it's not very big turbo, but the manifold is so compact that it actually sits underneath the turbo and there is so much room. Hey guys, what's going on? Yes, the thumbnail is not clickbait. We're going to be building an exhaust manifold today out of plastic, but I'm going to explain that a little bit later. But for now, you would have seen this post where you've got this GT3076 that we're actually going to be putting on a 5E engine in one of my Starlets. Now, I want to use this with the factory radiator, air conditioning, you know, fitting under the bonnet, high mount manifold. Most people say it can't be done, there's just simply not enough room. So if you're to get this turbo, this is a 5E here, now sit this roughly where it's going to go, where do you even start? So you've got to get your exhaust manifold flanges cut out. So put that on there. Then you need a T3 flange for the back of the turbo. Goes on there. So looking at this, where do you even begin to put the pipes and bends on? So you need to go to your shop and get your steam pipe exhaust manifold. This is just 32mm. And try and figure out what you're going to do. So once you have your flanges, you need to make some sort of collector. Now I figured out a really cool way how to make that. I'm going to post a link in the description. Well, let me show you a bit of my exhaust manifold history. This was the first exhaust manifold I ever made, and it is disgusting. So I had a LS1 in my RX-7 and I wanted to do a twin turbo conversion on it. So I thought, you know, just have a go at making an exhaust manifold for it. And it turned out absolutely horrid. I had no idea what I was doing. We've got some old fence post here. You know, it just was big and bulky and ugly and didn't work. So I ended up giving up on that project and I've just kept this to, look back on. So the second exhaust manifold I ever built, this was in the rear-wheel drive twin engine Starlet. Same thing, just got some fence post, steam pipe bends and sort of slapped it all together. These are just two standard exhaust flanges. I just chopped the factory pipes off, bolted those back on the cylinder head and just started building from there. It turned out better than the last one. The third manifold I built, this was originally on the front of the twin engine car. Tried to make it a bit more symmetrical. Same thing, just reuse the standard exhaust flanges with the new steam pipe. It turned out okay, but it's still big and bulky, takes up a lot of room. You know, you got zero chance of having a full-size radiator, air conditioning. It just isn't going to work. You know, the collector's still pretty ugly. Tried die grinding it most I could, but it's not symmetrical by any means and just still needs a lot more improvement there. So this is the twin engine blue car and it's the last exhaust manifold that I've made. So in this build I worked out a really neat way to make a good 4-into-1 collector, really cheap. I've also got the steam pipe bends. I've used the TIG welder this time instead of the MIG, so the welds have turned out a lot neater. The manifold still is really big and bulky, and it is tune length, but I couldn't find another way to try and make it more compact, also with making the turbo sit forwards. So it looks like a bit of a spaghetti manifold right now. But still, it's the best one I've made to date. So it wasn't until the start of this year I went to a car show and they actually had this exhaust manifold modelling kit for sale. Now what this is, it's simply just big blocks of Lego. So in this kit you get, there's a heap of straights in here, little bends, and you can build your exhaust from that. Now the funniest part is, until I actually bought this kit, I had no idea that you could actually buy short radius steam pipe bends. So long radius steam pipe bend, this fits straight over the top. It's exactly the same size. So I went back to my steel shop and asked for some of those, and it was a special order, but we can get them. Now we're using these tight radius bends, we can make the manifold a lot more compact, which is really going to change everything. You know, you're not going to be able to make a tight manifold using these big bends. So, I mean, if we sit these, just to check this out, so that's 2 long radius bends versus the short radius bends. it's a lot smaller. So with this, we can actually build an exhaust manifold using these blocks, and then once we have the blocks and the manifold exactly how we want it, we just pull out one piece at a time, replace it with that, tack it into place. Then the next bit, next plastic part, you remove that, whether you need a straight piece or a bend or whatever it is, and replace that with steel and tack it into place. So before I can build this 3076 manifold, I actually am doing a TD05 turbo manifold for a customer at the moment, and I'm going to finish that off so we can start building our one. And this is it here. So you can see already, like TD05, it's not very big turbo, but the manifold is so compact that it actually sits underneath the turbo, and there is so much room. So we've dummy fitted this in a EP91 Starlet, and the radiator sits here. There's enough room that we can put a turbo beanie on that, and then we can just run the dump pipe down the back here and then under the car. Radiator hose, air conditioning, one of my little special collectors that I've made. This really is something neat. So there's going to be a full episode coming out soon of turning this plastic manifold into steel, and I'm going to show you exactly what I need to do to make that happen. But you can see in here we've got, so this one here is a long radius bend, they disconnect. Then you got a couple of small straights. All these pieces are labeled with lengths and that, so you can cut them exactly the way you need to in steel, and then yeah, put them on and away you go. I don't think I've ever seen a high mount TD05 turbo using all those factory options. Usually you can just go to one of those short radiators, but the problem is in Darwin where we live, it's really hot, and the temperature up here just heat soaks everything, and the cars constantly overheat. Like, I'm always having problems with my blue car, and would love to go back to a full-size radiator, and I didn't think I'd be able to until I've discovered these blocks. So yeah, it's going to be cool getting this exhaust all together and getting it all happening, and I'm really excited to build that, you know, GT3076 and push some serious boost. It's going to be great.